How did you get to this space?
Well, originally Jonas from Brødrene Krüger called and said that they were changing up the showroom. And so Brødrene Krüger has lots of furniture that is developed by architects through the time, has this focus on it, and also new architects like David Tulstrup and so on. We had to obviously figure out a layout where we could have, companies coexisting, and we had to figure out how to show it in a way where you could also have nice views and you could have privacy to work or meetings. That's why we came into the room dividers to sort of work with a semi-division of the space, which will still be open to sort of be holistic and come together. We looked at your products, and the wood notes are from Finland, they're handmade also, and the Danish company St. Leo, which is also really interested in the crafts. So the point for all interest in all companies was that everybody was orientated in their way of crafting and their traditions and so on.
Do you feel there's a difference between Nordic craft and Mexican craft in the way that you combined both different cultures into one space?
The approach is the same. I think when you, as a design person, look at crafts or you're interested in crafts, I think you look at traditions, materials, but I think obviously we are from different parts of the world. We have different materials available, we have different landscapes that inspire in different ways. So the Nordic design is, famous for being very sort of straight and functional, and form follows function, right? Traditionally in Denmark, we're raised from this democratic design where big architects made furniture for their own houses that then came into production and so on. And we have a brand still called FDB, but that was before through our supermarkets. So the average Danish person traditionally could buy big designers furniture through the supermarket. So it started a tradition of having quality furniture, and you work with the simplicity and the function. So obviously, if you buy furniture in the supermarket, it's not like a chaise longue that's really impractical. It had of course a function, and so our tradition is very sort of based on the very light wood, the pine, the oak, those what's with more straight structures and so on. And the landscape is more straight here.
It's very curious that you say that, because particularly our Cannes series, that we're presenting here in the page, the focus was to really have a very utilitarian collection, since the clay in Mexico, similar to many crafts, but particularly the clay, has a very functional use. It's very utilitarian. It's used for plates, for vases, for water vessels. So it's very utilitarian, and we wanted to have the same collection kind of really stripped down to the absolute minimum in shape and to serve a certain function. So when you see the pendant version, it's really just kind of to fit the lamp socket and the lamp shade and the bulb, and not more, which is kind of maybe a little bit unusual for Mexican design in general. To have it very, very minimal. I think that's why it also fits really well within the space. And maybe people would not identify it as a Mexican design.
But it's funny you say it about the can lamp, because when I was looking through your products first, right, first you get really attached, I did, to that system and the weaves and so on. The more eye-catching ones, you're like, wow, this is a whole different way of looking at lighting. And I was skipping the can at first. I was like, yeah, boring. Yeah. And then I understood how it was produced, and your videos about the materiality and so on. And this really got me, and now it's my favorite, I think.
Do you remember how you found us, how you thought it might be a good fit for the space?
Yes, I was lucky, and one of my colleagues, Natalia, we have almost the same name, she was like, have you actually ever noticed? They're really cool. I started looking you up, and I was like, oh my God, this is great. It's like when you enter your site, your whole communication is so cool that it was more this. I was like, who are these people? I had to figure it out, and then I started looking at your products. But I know this is controversial to say, and I'm going to say it in the best way. I'm not the biggest product person. I love products, but I'm more like
a story person.
Yeah, For me, it's like how the whole thing fits together. And I get super enthusiastic, also way too enthusiastic.
Our products, in a certain way, they're simple. So there's, of course, some installations that are visually a little bit more complex, but in general, our objects are very simple. It's what you said with the can, that you could maybe overlook it because it's a very simple, geometrical, visual idea. Because you could do the same shape with a metal spinning thing, and it would be nothing. And since the story that is behind it, that it's people who have been working this craft, the families for hundreds, thousands of years, like that's what gives it the kind of the product its soul, you know, that it's a clay that hasn't been used in contemporary objects, but has been used since thousands of years. So the story is what makes the product the product. Without that, like the pure design shape it's not what makes us great. I think it's really what is behind it and the soul of the object. You know, that you have it in Mexico. There's people who have the lamp on top of the table, and they know that their grandmother had a vase that was made out of the same clay. You know, it's kind of the story that brings everything into the soul into the object. So that's why kind of I can relate to a lot when you say that the product itself, okay, it's the product, but that the story behind it is what kind of gets you. That's, I think, really describes what we do a lot.
And as I said earlier, I don't even know what is the process of the clay. I just understand that it reeks a story to me that I would like to understand. And even though I know I'll never completely understand it because I'm not Mexican, then I love the idea of it. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's really great that you said that it's boring and you overlooked it, because there is a famous, I think, conversation.
Well, I'm Scandinavian, we are boring.
There's a famous conversation between, I think, Jasper Morrison and Naoto Fukusawa, where they said that he saw his chair in a museum. It's just standing there and people are not seeing it as a design and overlooking it. After weeks of thinking about it, he was like, yeah, but that's the point of what I'm doing, and it doesn't need to be much more than that. And I think that's a little bit what the idea of Can is. So I think that's the idea. It shouldn't be it shouldn't scream at you.
No.
It should be something very subtle. And then when you come closer and you see kind of the materiality, the surface, like the character in the surface, I think that's what makes it really nice. And it doesn't need to be very kind of screamy.
For me, it's a very complex product in a way because it has so many nuances, and I love the light that comes out of it, and so like I don't find it boring at all. But you know, like because I understand how it's made and I can see the surfaces and so on. For me, that's really kind of like with Scandinavian design, because it is boring or straight like Japanese, right? But behind it is so much exploration and stories that, you know, like it's not boring. There is something to be said for the practicality of life. I kind of love that also. You have to be honest about how you live your life, because you can, you know, have an idea that you're going to have exclusive dinner parties every night, or you only wear a silk, or, you know, but then there's also the reality. And if what you do is you love to play table tennis every night with your family after dinner, maybe this should be a part of your home, right? So you want to explore it with your eye, you want to get surprised, you like the materiality, but also the thing I've been most happy with when people have commented on it to us is that they say, one thing is the pictures are beautiful, but when you come into this space, I feel so comfortable. Yeah. For me, this is like, I get very proud when I hear this.
Yeah. Today when I walked by in the morning and I just saw it from the other side of the street, I got this warmth, lights were still off, but the light was coming in, the sun was coming in from the backside, and I felt kind of a very positive feeling, like from the other side of the street. It was kind of, I don't know, it gives you goodness.
But I think when you work with crafts and materials that are traditionally worked with in your country, there is also a sense of warmth and security. There's some lineage, like a history.
I think
from
that's
your
what's
culture.
a huge difference of Mexican craft. Mexican craft is something that is in daily life embedded in every corner that you have. So I think there's the huge difference between maybe Japanese or Nordic European craft, where when you have a piece that is handcrafted in your home, it's most probably going to be the most expensive piece that you have in your house. And when you have a craft piece in Mexico, it's going to be the basket where you put in the tortillas, it's the molcajete where you do your salsa, it's something that is laying on the floor. It's something that is really a huge difference between how you see craft in each country. We're trying to change that a little bit and to elevate each of those materials or crafts in a way that is valued much more.
I think maybe that's also been a part of the Danish sort of, especially our food scene since Noma. Like, because what Noma was really good at back then was taking all these local produce that people had ignored. Before that, it was like French food was fine dining, and then it was just Danish was just crap, right? Yeah. But taking all these produce that they had ignored and like working with it and like, I think actually that was a big part of this sort of movement to start reconnecting to what can we do in our little corner of the world, and what is our product when we can't get really great tomatoes, or it's not sunny enough. So how do you make something so delicate from our space? People started to look at it differently, and I think also this is where 3 days came out of. I know a lot of furniture companies said when 3 days came and developed was like, but it should be here. We're so many furniture producers. Like, it's a huge tradition in Denmark, right? That made sense. It makes sense, and it is a strong tradition.
Yes. I remember the first time I came to 3 Days of Design, which was 4 years ago, when I walked through the streets at night, and kind of you look into the windows and you see kind of good and warm lighting. It's something that I've not seen anywhere else in the world. That kind of this huge tradition of good design being part of everyday life is something that really surprised me a lot when I came for the first time.
I think that is really some of that tradition came from this I explained before with the democratic design in the modernism, but also that we've had a tradition to invite people home into our homes, not go to restaurants and so on, because people are home and invite other people into their home. So it is like a thing.
A Mexican thing.
Yeah, that's not Mexican. You can't take this also. No, but it is like, so when you walk around on the street, it is a thing.
And do you feel that it has, the 3 Days of Design has had an impact also on the industry and how brands have developed, how the city develops?
In the 90s, Copenhagen was a very boring city, dark, not much culture and so on. They really, really set in to change it. So Copenhagen is very much alive all the time. What 3 Days did well, rather than put it into like a hall, like a fair, that you utilize the city. You also, it's a small city, it's easy to get around. So I think that has sort of added to this atmosphere of the city.
Do you feel that it's a little bit of a change happening? Because my feeling 4 years ago was that there were not yet so many international companies coming to show. And I feel like this is a little bit changing, that is getting a little bit more international.
Some people are saying that it's taking over from Milan, very big players suddenly, and the city it was wild last year. Like it was all over the city, right? And that's of course really fun. And as a creative person, it's fun that so much creativity is happening, right? And there are projects to do that are interesting and inspiring and so on.
What a beautiful way to end this.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Can I give your daughter an ice cream?
Yeah. I don't think so.
I tried. You can only film from the good side, and I'm not sure
your
which one
side.
that is. Yeah.
Which one is your ice cream side?
I have no idea, so you cannot.